What's up everybody, welcome back to the channel. You're watching Indigo Tech Tutorials, and in this video I'm going to show you how you can build a blog app using Ruby on Rails, and I'm also going to be using Flowbite for the CSS components. So I've already made probably a couple videos showing how to make blog apps, and it's really like the most simple app that you can build when you're learning Ruby on Rails, and it's also something that I know a lot of people are interested in. Just as an example, if you want to learn this programming language of Ruby and the web framework of Rails, I think this is a great way that you could start because everybody knows how a blog app works. It's super simple. Basically, we're going to have an admin type of user who can post the blog posts, and everybody else is just going to be like random users on the internet who are going to find the blog post by looking up stuff on the internet. And that's how I usually find blog posts. When I'm looking up a question for Ruby on Rails, I'll usually stumble across some blog posts. There are a lot of platforms like LinkedIn, Medium, and other places that allow people to post their blog posts on that website. But I think it's a great idea if you want to build your own blog, because then you could eventually add in stuff like ad revenue and start making money from that blog. So I'm going to try to cover the whole process of building the website and even making the blog pages more SEO friendly, because I know a few ways that we can improve that and help your website show up on the Google search results even higher. So let's just get straight into it and start creating this app. So I'm just going to go right into the terminal and let's generate a brand new app. And I'll do that by typing in Rails new. And we're going to call this let's call it Flowbite blog. And I'm also going to add Tailwind as a CSS framework. That's really the only thing that I'm going to add as a dependency for right now. We can leave everything else default. But now that we do that, it's going to run through and generate our simple Rails app. I'm also not going to use devise for this. So usually for user accounts, I'll add in devise, but I want to just keep this really simple and use the defaults and show you guys how powerful Rails is without even adding any other libraries. So just like that, we have the Flowbite blog. I'm going to cd into the Flowbite blog, and then I guess we can just start the server to make sure it's working by doing bin/dev, and then go over to the browser, go to localhost 3000, and right now we don't really see anything right now, so that's fine. What we're gonna do is there's a few things that we can do. Right off the bat, I might just generate the user account. So usually I would go over to devise and I would install devise and then generate maybe a user or admin model. Right now, all we can do is just say railsg authentication to generate the user authentication. And boom, just like that, we have user account set up. All we have to do is migrate the database to get that going, and as you can see, it created a user model and it also created a session model, which is going to store the user being signed in. But that's not really that important since this is just an admin only app, and you can go to /session/new to sign in, and there's a couple things. There's even the forgot your password. I didn't even know that this was built in through this default authentication. But one thing they don't have is to create an account, which is totally fine because I think the only person who's going to use this sign in is going to be the admin user anyways. So it's totally fine if we just create that somewhere else. And I might even create a role permission just to double make sure that the user is an admin. So to do that, I'm going to add a new field by doing railsg migration, add role to user, and role is going to be type integer because I'm going to store it as an enum. So we can do that, and then I'm going to migrate that new fields. Then I'm going to go over and let's open up our code in the code editor. So I'm going to do code dot, open this up in VS Code, and I'm going to restart the server just because why not. And then I'm going to go over to that user model. So let's go to app models user.rb, and I'm going to add in the enum for the role. So let's say enum role, and then we can pass in just an array of the different roles that we might have. So let's just say, like, eventually you might even just have regular users on your blog app because you might want them to sign in, save their password, all that stuff. So we could just have a role as like a reader or something. I don't know if that's a good name of a role, like a reader of your blog post, or maybe we call it subscriber. How about that? And then we'll just have another one, admin. So if you're an admin, it means you can actually post a blog post. And I just want to double make sure. That's why I'm doing it like that. And that should work. And go to Rails C. I'm just going to try to create a little user here. So let's do, with the authentication generator, it creates you a user, and you have the following fields. You have the email address, and you also have the password. So we can pass in the email address, like admin test, and then we can pass in a password. It's a really simple password. And then we can lastly pass in the role, do role of admin. And I just want to make sure that that works. And look, it totally does work. It stores the role of admin. And the funny thing is it's storing it as an integer because that's how enum works by default. So that's why I put the integer field on in the database. But this is actually really cool. And then what I might do is actually make this even easier so that you don't need to go in the console to create an admin user. We can just create a default admin user in the DB seeds. So just like this. And then if you're going to generate the admin user, all you have to do is run Rails DB seeds. We are going to get an error because it already has this admin user. So I might just change the create to find or create by, and that'll prevent any errors there. Although it looks like we still get the error. I think it's because the password's not actually stored as a field. So it's trying to find an exact query with the password, but of course you're not going to be able to see that password. So instead we have to do something like this: user equals user find or create by, and then if, I guess, this is interesting. So maybe I'll find it first. If user finds, if not user, so I'm first going to find the user by these attributes. If we don't find the user, then I'm just going to create a user with that code we just had. So create, this should actually prevent any errors. And I'm going to run Rails DB seed. No, again, we get the error. Oh, because I'm passing in find, but I'm passing in multiple attributes, I actually have to do find by. Let's do this one more time. Rails DB seed. And boom, we don't get any errors. Now, it didn't create the user because we should already have had that user. So if I do user.count, I'm doing this in the Rails runner. This is a little helper you could do. If you don't want to go into Rails C, you can actually run Rails code just like it was in Rails C with Rails runner. That's something that I realized. So as you can see, there's only one user right here. I've also been getting this error about cannot load such file jars post install. I don't know what that's about, but it's kind of annoying. Anyways, I'm going to actually destroy all the users real quick. User.destroy all. Then we'll run this again. User count. There's 0 users. And I just want to show you guys how Rails DB seed will actually create that user. And there wasn't any errors. And we now have 1 user again. So what this means is we could sign in with these credentials right here with the admin user that we've created. So that is pretty cool. Now I'm going to create the posts. So the blog posts. And yeah, I'm thinking about if I want to do a scaffold or not. I don't really want to do a scaffold because the way that I'm going to do things, I kind of want to namespace it into an admin section. So I might not even scaffold any of this. And I'm also going to be using Flowbite for all of the components on the app. I'm going to try not to write any code myself, like any front-end code, which is going to be a challenge because usually my tutorials, I'm writing a lot of front-end code. You know what, right away I'm going to go over to the application layout file, and I'm going to remove this main container because I don't want to have any padding on my pages. All right, and yeah, I'm just going to think about how do we want to do this. We're probably going to have a post index page where we render all the posts. We're also going to have a show page. But as far as the other actions like create, I want to separate those into an admin namespace controller just to make things a little bit more cleaner and separated. So right off the bat, I guess I'll go over to the config routes.rb and I'll start in the routes. And right now we have this resource session. So that's for signing in to the user account. We also have resources passwords, which I don't think we're going to actually want that in our app. We don't want an admin user resetting their password, at least not right now, because that could be a security concern. So I'm going to go over to the controller's passwords, and I'm honestly just going to delete that. Although it could be helpful, but I don't think we're going to need that in our app. So now all we have this is the sessions controller, which is fine with me. Now I'm going to define this posts resource. We can say resources posts, and I'm only going to want the index and the show page. So we're going to be able to list all of the posts and also view a particular post. Then I'm going to go down to the root. We can just uncomment this because it's already using post index, so that is where we want to go. Now, if we were to reload, we are going to see an error because we have not defined the post controller yet. So it's going to say uninitialized constant post controller. We can fix that by creating a new post controller. So we can go over to the app controllers, create a new file called post_controller.rb. And we're going to create the post controller class. It's going to inherit from application controller. Because this is just a public route, we can allow any user to view this without having to sign in first. So for the index and the show page, that's what I was saying. It's going to make it a little bit cleaner instead of having to handle like create action, have a bunch of authorization code inside of this class. I would rather just simplify it. So now that we have this simple controller set up, we can reload. We're going to get another error. Well, actually, I think it tried to authenticate the user. Maybe that's part of when we did the authentication generator. I think they actually locked down the whole app. So if we go to application controller, they include authentication, which is a concern. And I think by default, it's going to require authentication on the whole app because it's including this before action, which is not actually something that I want to do. I might just manually add in the require authentication before action whenever I want to restrict a certain page. Although it looks like that causes another error because now it's saying the require authentication has not been defined, which is funny because on this page, so maybe they want us to do this instead, allow unauthenticated access, which is just basically skipping the before action. I think I'm just going to remove that as well. And yeah, that should clean things up. Also, I noticed on the session page, we're getting an error because now we don't have that new password path. We don't have the option to forget password, go to that page. So I'm going to go over to the views. Actually, we have two views here we can get rid of. Views that are talking about the passwords. Let's get rid of that because we're not going to handle that in our app. And then on the session's new page, I'm going to go and delete this forgot password section, that whole link and everything. And if we reload, we just get this minimal sign-in page. And we could even clean up that code real quick. I know I said I didn't want to do any styling. We can at least do a padding, so it's not just sticking at the top. Because I removed the default padding, by the way. That's the only reason we had to do that. And oh, maybe padding on the sides for mobile. Boom. But after that, I'm going to try not to do any custom styling. I want to use Flowbite. Okay, so if we reload now on the main route, it's saying that we're missing a template. That's because we never created the views for the posts. So that's what I was going to get to next. We go to app views and then create a new folder called posts. And then we can create a new file called index.html.erb. And boom, just like that, we have this simple index page where we're going to render all the posts. Now, we don't have any posts yet. We don't have a post model. So that might be a good next thing that we can do. Let's go ahead and generate a post model inside of the console. So I'm going to do a RailsG model. I'm not going to do a scaffold because I don't want it to generate all the files like controllers and everything. I only want the model and the database fields, or the database table. We're going to say RailsG model, and we're going to create a post model. And of course, we can think of what fields a blog post would usually have. It's probably going to have a title, going to have the body of the blog post, so all the content. I think we're going to store that as rich text. We could say body : rich text. And rich text is supported in Rails, but we have to install the action text library. That should be super easy. And then I'm going to try to use the Flowbite. I think that's where I saw the rich text example. I'm not sure. Maybe that was another UI library. Anyways, we're gonna have a title, we're gonna have the body, and of course we could always add more fields later. I guess that's really as simple as it is, just title, body, and maybe like a cover image, you know, like an image for the top. We could say banner image. This is going to be type attachment, which is going to be added in active storage. As far as anything else, we could probably do like tags and stuff, but I'll just leave it at this for now. So let's generate the model. And of course, we're going to have to run this other command, Rails action underscore text install, which is going to set up action text. It's also going to set up active storage. And then finally, we'll migrate the database with Rails DB migrate. And actually, I guess we need the image processing gem. We're going to run bundle. And you might need to get some dependencies to get this to work. In the past, I've had to install a few dependencies, either on Linux or Mac. You have to get like the IPSs or something. So I already have it, so I shouldn't run into any issues. So cool. Now we have the actual blog, or not the blog, the post model. I could have called it blog post. So what I was thinking is maybe we'll go in, instead of setting up the admin view right away, we can just go and do this in the seeds. So we go to DB seeds and we could actually create some default blog posts. So to be super simple, we could just literally write it right here. We could say post.create, give it a title of, probably even have AI generate this because I don't want to have something stupid. So let's say write a blog post about Ruby on Rails and Hotwire. Turn title and body the content. Boom. Just like that, we got ChatGPT helping us out. We have a title, but the body as well. This is going to be a lot of content. Let's go. Actually, yeah, I wonder how we can store that with action text. And that's return the body as a copyable text that I can save action text field Rails. Wonder what that would look like. I guess just Markdown. Kind of looks like Markdown to me. But yo, it's still like it didn't really do it right. Put it all in one copyable section. Come on, ChatGPT, help me out with this. I don't want to spend too long on this, so maybe I'll come back once this is generated. All right, again, it didn't really do it right at all, but it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to copy whatever content it did add. So I guess this is fine. And then there was the cover image, or wait, it was called banner image. Banner image. So to grab this, we actually need an image. I want to go to Unsplash to grab an image, and I just want to grab like a train or something, or yeah, you know what, train track, that works. Let's grab the medium-sized one, and I'm gonna stick it inside of our app somewhere. I'm thinking we'll just stick it inside of public. Yeah, why not? It doesn't really matter. Train.jpg. So now to access this here, I think we can just say file.open and maybe rails.root join the public folder and the train.jpg. We can read the file, stick it inside of here. Possibly we could do that. I think I've done that before. Anyways, now let's see if we can create this blog post by doing Rails DB seed. No, it said invalid message, so it didn't like how I was attaching the image. That's fine though. It's not really a big deal. We actually could do is we could say we could do the query again. I don't know. The image is not really a big deal, but also it kind of is. So maybe I'll say if post equals post.find. So we can find a post with this already. We're just gonna not create it, of course. Say if not post. And I need to bring back this title. There we go. And so if not post, we're going to create one. And I'm actually going to redefine this here after we create it. And then I can attach the banner image, doing post.bannerimage.attach. And then I think we can do the file. We pass it in as IO. And just open. I'm going to do the same rails.root join. That's going to get the main path to this Rails app. And then we can append the path to our file, which is going to be public/train.jpg. And I think we can read this. We're also going to pass in a file name. I'll just say, train.jpg. Let's see if this works. Rails DB seed. Said could not find post. Oh, right. This post.find needs to be find by because we're passing in a key. Because find is just going to look for an ID. We got another error. It's saying that it can't find this image. Oh, I think there was, whoops, I used a slash instead of a dot. But we didn't get an error that time. We should actually have a post. If I do post.count, it says 1. Okay, I'm getting annoyed by this freaking post not load such file. I need to get this to start up. Oh, it's for JRuby. I'm not using JRuby. No, that's not for JRuby, that's for Ruby. So had some weird lockjars dependency. Able to get rid of that. Potentially that will prevent that message. Hey, did work. So I just cleared out the posts. Now I'm going to run the seed data again. We get an error one more time because it didn't like this. I might just go into Rails console and try to run this. Look, it actually did work. I was able to read it. It didn't like it for whatever reason. So if I say post.last banner image.attached, it's saying false. So I'm going to try to attach it, passing in the IO, but it didn't like when I read it. So maybe I'm not supposed to read it. I'm just supposed to pass in file, possibly. See if this works. Oh, it says must be rewindable. I wonder if I can say open. Oh, wait. It's because I'm passing in just a file path. I was supposed to say file.open. But maybe, yeah, I don't think you're supposed to read it. So look, that totally worked. I'm actually just going to destroy all the posts. And we can go back to the seed data. And this was actually right. You're just not supposed to read it at the end. But we can attach this. And yeah, that looks good. Might rename this to post 1. Thinking we'll have a couple posts. So if we run Rails DB seed, oh, I'm not in the folder anymore. Log, and let's run this Rails DB seed. Boom, we should have a blog post. So what I'll do now is I'm going to go to the index page or the root of the app, and we're going to try to render these blog posts. So first I'm going to go to the app controllers post controller, and I'm going to define the post instance variable. So say app post equals post to all. And we can order it by the created at descending. So it's going to show the newest post first. And then we can go to the views post index and just render this. I might even just render it as a collection. So we can say render partial post collection is going to be at posts. And then we'll just have to create a new file, which is going to be underscore post.html.erb. And this is where we're going to have all the post content. So now this brings me to the point where I want to use Flowbite for all of the UI. So let's go over to Flowbite. We still haven't even installed it yet. So we might want to start at the get started section, and we can go over to the Rails portion, and we're going to install via import map. So I'm just going to grab this line to pin Flowbite to the CDN. And I can put this in config import map to RB. So boom, just like that, we have Flowbite being pinned to this certain CDN. And then the next thing is we're going to import Flowbite in the application.js. We can go over to the app JavaScript application.js and drop in this code to import Flowbite. And we should be good to go to start using the components. So I'm going to go back to the home page and go over to explore components. And I'm thinking, I'm just looking for a card for right now. So we can use a card for our blog post. Honestly, this would be simple enough, just a card like this. This one's good too, card with button. But we have an image, so I think this one is actually perfect. So all you have to do is press copy, go into the post partial, and boom. You see how easy that is? That's why I like Flowbite. That was so easy. And then we can just stick in our content. So for this, this is the image. So we can put the link to the image. So this is going to be URL for the post.banner image. You can reload and take a look. Check it out. We get that Rails picture. Now the card is kind of like pushed all the way to the top left corner. So we kind of do have to add our own styling in just to wrap that, but that's something that I already kind of realized. So we can do like a max width 7XL, full MX auto, add a little bit of padding. Let's do padding on the top and bottom. And boom, now we have it centered. I think this looks pretty clean. Now back to the post partial. I don't think we need a link wrapping the image. That doesn't really make sense to me. I think ultimately I'll just wrap the whole card in the link when we get to that. So we can get rid of that link for now. I'm guessing they just used the link to make like the cursor effect on this. But I guess it's also not a bad idea when you think about it, because maybe you want the person to be able to like copy the text here or something without clicking on the blog post. So it makes the UI maybe a little bit better. I guess I'm cool with that. But ultimately, we're gonna stick in our content. So on this link right here, this is the title of the blog post. So we'll put our title of our blog post. Say post.title, just as simple as that. And then for the post.body, we're actually going to want to grab the first amount of content from our body. So posts, you can say post.body. And because this is rich text, we actually need to grab the plain text. So I think you do post.body. I think you call body twice. It's kind of weird, but then we say to plain text. That's how I remember doing it in my brain. Check it out, it did actually work. It gave it back as plain text. And then we're just going to grab the first certain amount of characters. Say that's not enough, let's do 50. Still, it's maybe like 100, I guess. First 100 characters. Although it does kind of break the text, which can be annoying, but I guess that's not too bad. You just grab the first amount of content and then have like a ... at the end. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. So boom, we already have this blog app rendering blog posts. And if we wanted to, we could go back to the DB seeds, and you see how I did the post 1. We could just do like a post 2. I don't really know if this is the best way to do it. It's not like too clean. But if I just copy this, and then we say post 2, and then just grab like another blog post. I'm gonna ask, write me a blog post about why Ruby on Rails is better than React.js. Let's go. And of course, we're gonna grab that title. Let's go in here and replace the title. This, of course, is gonna be post 2. And as far as the body, go ahead, grab this. And of course, this one has to be post 2 too. As far as the file, put it in public. I'm thinking like, wonder if someone already made an image about Rails versus React. Yeah, check it out. Someone already did, which I'm just gonna copy it. Of course. Why write my own? Although the only thing is it's kind of blurry, so I don't know if I want to use that. Oh, this one's good. Some guy already had this sort of banner image, but I don't know why it's so blurry. I guess it's not that big of a deal. I'm gonna download that, and then we'll go and put this in our public folder. I'm gonna rename it to Rails versus React. It actually looks like it's a PNG, not a JPEG. So I guess let's make sure that the file extension is correct. And then now we can go back to the ChatGPT, grab that body, although I didn't do it right. So return it as copyable text for rich text in Rails. There we go. Although not with the body. ChatGPT can be weird. Turn only the body as a copyable and for rich text. Bruh. A blog post. I Ruby on Rails React. Turn only the content inside of the copyable and for turn only the content of the blog post as copyable for rich text in Rails. Hopefully it can do that. No, it didn't do it. Although honestly, I think this would work if I copy it. The post it rich text else. Again, it didn't really help. But I guess technically this is copyable for like I've copied stuff from this and it's shown up inside of a rich text field perfectly fine. So I guess it's not a big deal. Let's drop it in. Now this might actually break things because we have like the quotes. We might have to do single quotes wrapping all this content. So, seems like it still kind of breaks things. Actually, yeah, I have no idea. Yeah, the first one, I guess what I have to do is just ask it to return markdown. Body as markdown. There we go. That's really all I had to ask for. Content. And then I'm gonna drop it right here, post 2. And yeah. Maybe I'll put it inside of single quotes. I think that should be fine. Do Rails DB seed. It should generate 2 blog posts now instead of 1. Reload. And boom, yeah, just like we thought, we have 2 blog posts, which actually this is pretty clean like this. Now, I mean, they are stacked on top of each other. I didn't really mean for that. So let's go back to the post index. And yeah, we don't have any styling here for arranging the content. So what we can do is we can add a grid, and then we can have how many calls we want to have, so how many columns. And I'm going to do on large, let's have 3 columns. Or actually, yeah, I mean, we could do medium, 2 columns, large, 3 columns. Boom, I think that looks pretty clean. We have our cards. Yeah, honestly, I don't know if my way of seeding the data, I mean, I guess it worked fine. Although whenever we want to do a new one, it's kind of painful. Like, I'm almost thinking I want to have 3 blog posts. So that's gonna write a blog post about how to create a Hotwire native app using Ruby on Rails. Have post 3. You know what? I'm actually pretty happy with this. It's not like this is hard. It's just kind of weird. Post 3. As far as the image, I'm thinking like iOS app. You just do something like this, honestly. Or even this one. This one looks kind of cool. And we can go and drag this into West. Although honestly, at this point, I might as well just go and build the admin dashboard, right? We'll get to that, guys. Just be patient with my seed adventure, because I do know one of you guys asked about doing more content showing how to seed the database. Yeah, this is basically how you do it. Just go in the seeds file and you can create these default records. And this will be actually helpful if any of you guys want to download the code in the future. You'll have all of this seed data to work with, which would make things easier right off the bat. Right, so for the content, I'm gonna ask return the body as markdown. So if we were doing before. No, it did not work. Turn the full body of the post in one markdown section. Come on, ChatGPT. Let's do your job here. Alright. No, it didn't do it again. That's so annoying. But we could probably figure this out later. I'm just gonna copy this first amount of content. And yeah, I don't want to spend too much time. I think I've already spent way too much time right now on this. Looks like it's actually breaking because there's already the wrong quotes inside of it. It looks like we can do double quotes. All right, this is fine. So I'm gonna just run this Rails DB seed one last time. And then let's go back and boom, we should have 3 posts. Yep, we have 3 different posts. And for mobile, it's not that responsive. So let's try to figure that out for mobile. We go to post index. It's because we're doing the grid calls, but we need to somehow like actually center it on mobile. So on the post partial, I wonder if we can say MX auto. Hey, we can. So that totally works. And then on the index page, if we can add some gaps, we could say like gap 8, add spacing between each one. And that's not bad right there. It looks like on the larger screen, it still looks pretty good. So that's sweet. Now what I want to do is go back to Flowbite and maybe look at some more components that we could add into our app. Different things that could make this better. I'm almost thinking about a header section, or I guess we could do navbar. Not a bad idea. Although we really don't need much of that right now. I'm thinking more of a header for this blog section. They have table header. That's not really what I was looking for. Yeah, there's really like, I guess there's not really much that we need. The next thing would be adding in the show page so that we can click on a blog post and read the whole thing. So we can get to that right now. We already have the route set up. So all we have to do is go into the post partial and we can replace all of these routes, which is just a pound sign. And we'll pass in the correct path, which I think we can just say post. Possibly we can just say post. No, I don't think I think you have to say URL for post. And it's going to be able to find out the correct URL. And if you click on it, check it out. It actually brings you to the post / the ID, which is the correct path. The only thing is we're missing a template. We're also not setting the post variable inside the controller. So I'm going to first go to the controllers, post controller, and let's set the post instance variable. We'll just say the at post equals post.find for the params ID. Now we're going to have that correct post, but then on the views, we have to create a show page. So we go to the views posts folder, and we'll create a new file, show.html.erb, and boom, now we have the show page right here. So we can put all the content, and really in its simplest form, we could just, print out post title just to verify that this is working. And, oh, actually we have to use the instance variable, of course, with the @ sign. And boom, as you can see, it is totally working. Now I just want to figure out a cleaner way to render this, and possibly using the Flowbite components. Although I don't well, they do have text. Maybe I want to use text. So they have different font sizes. Look, and they go higher than, I think Tailwind only goes to 7XL, but they actually go up to 9XL. Or maybe Tailwind does go up that high. Could be a new thing. They also have like colors. I think this is already just from Tailwind, now that I think about it. So I guess there's not really anything like special here. Oh, I like this. It has the icon HR. That looks pretty cool for quotes. And yeah, the awesome thing about Flowbite is it's already mobile responsive from the start, which is just amazing. I was really looking for like yeah, why would they have a title component? That doesn't really make sense, right? They do have typography. I don't think that's right. Okay, so I guess we still have to do a little bit of styling, which is, yeah, I guess that's to be expected. So I'm just gonna have a max width, do MX auto, do some padding, and then probably first thing we're gonna have the banner image at the top. We could do image tag for the post.banner image. And I'm gonna have a full, and I'm gonna give it a fixed height, and then we're just gonna do object cover. And we can go back in here. And oh, again, I forgot to use the @ sign on the post. Let's reload. Boom, we have the banner image showing up. That's pretty cool. Oh, and I know what I could do. Let's add breadcrumbs, which breadcrumbs is like essentially just a link of or a collection of links that show you the current page and then the page that you came from. So that's something that we could do. Let's look for breadcrumb. We have them right here. And boom, it's like something like this. So we could just copy that and then go and drag this into the top of our page. So right on top of the image, we'll drag in our breadcrumbs. And boom, that's the first component that we can use. So if we go and reload, we have these little breadcrumbs, which are nice. I'm going to add some margin here. Actually, we could just use a break, a BR tag to add some space. That works pretty well. Now, I don't think we need the double nested links. We probably only need one of those. So we can just we can delete this middle li. Boom, it still looks good. So for the home link, let's make this go, instead of the pound sign, let's just go to slash, which is going to be the root path. And then for the current page, this usually isn't even the link, it's just kind of showing you what page you're on. So instead of saying this Flowbite, we're going to just put the name of the blog post. We could say post.title. And then boom, check it out, you have some nice breadcrumbs, which already I think this is looking pretty clean. I mean, some of these some of the images aren't really right, but it's not our fault. It's actually just the image that we put might not have been the best choice for that banner image, but it shows up fine on the card. So potentially we might do like a card image and a banner image, so we have two different ones, and then the user could, submit which one is going to look right. I think that's not a bad idea. But back to the post page. Let's click in here. Now, I don't think there's a component for text, because why would there be? It's really just as simple as just printing out the text. So underneath the image, well, first let's do the name of the blog post, or the title, I mean. We'll do H1, do text 5XL, let's do dark text, so the background is already light, and then we can just print out @post.title. And boom, we get the title of our blog post. I'll probably add some margin here, top 8. Boom, just like that, we have our title here. And yeah, it's pretty good. I'm gonna reduce that size. See, I'm not sure why. It's kind of hard to see on this one because the image isn't right. But I wasn't sure why it was wrapping. But okay, this makes sense. It's going all the way down. And yeah, that looks good. And then what we're going to do is we're going to render finally the body of the post. Oh, also, look, I accidentally ended that H1 with a div for whatever reason. Just an accident. Right. And so underneath the post title, we just have a div for our body. And I'm going to also add margin on this. Then we can just simply print out the @post.body. And boom, it should print out the body. Now, I guess because it's using Markdown, it didn't really come out correctly, which is kind of annoying, but it's whatever. I want to make sure that the mobile looks good. It looks like the breadcrumb gets kind of messed up on mobile. So maybe we'll want to truncate that. So right here, I think we could say truncate. That didn't work. Overflow ellipsis. I always have trouble with this one, with like the overflowing, because I want it to basically just not overflow. You can also just say first, grab the first amount of characters like we did before. That works too. We can just do the ... It doesn't look great. And of course, on the larger screen, we can still render this. Alright, I'm just gonna go back. It's not a big deal, honestly. I think it looks good on the larger screen. On mobile, it is a little weird, but it's not a big deal. I also kind of want padding on mobile for the breadcrumbs. So we could do px4. but then we don't want to do that on larger, so I can say medium, px0. Maybe even like large mode. Now the image, I think the banner image having a stretch across is fine. But as far as the text, we might want to have a little bit of padding. So we can also add x4, and then on large, we can get rid of the padding. I think that's pretty good. Yeah, it looks good enough. Now the text could probably be a little bit bigger because it looks kind of hard to read. So we could have a text XL on the body. I mean, yeah, this is a pretty good start for the blog posts. Now, right away, one thing that is weird is the URL. So it's just using a number for the blog post, which I guess is fine, but it might be better to create a slug, which if you're not familiar with what a slug is, we can basically take like the title of the post and turn it into a URL that would work better, and it'll also be more SEO friendly. So when you're looking up stuff on Google, if you have the URL matching the title, it's going to show up like more, going to show up better on the search results. So for slugs, I usually do use a library called Friendly ID. It's a really popular and trusted framework in Rails, and super easy to add to. So all you have to do is add the Friendly ID gem. So we go to gem file and Friendly ID, and then in the terminal, we're going to do bundle. We're also going to have to add a migration to our post model. We could do railsg migration, add slug to post, and then slug is going to be type unique. That's really all you have to do. Migrate that database, and as you can see, it's adding the slug field, which is type string, but it also has an index to make sure that it's unique. And oh, I forgot to run railsg friendly ID. We do railsg friendly ID. It's actually going to add another migration, so we're going to have to migrate again. And then we're going to add this code into our model. So let's go over to the app models, post.rb. We're going to add in the code to extend friendly ID, and then we're going to set which field we're using, which is going to be title. And the last thing is going to be changing the way that we look up the model in the controller. So that's super easy. If we go over to app controllers, post controller, we're just going to add friendly before the find. So it's going to say post.friendly.find. And boom, that's all we have to do. Although actually the existing posts aren't going to have a slug. So to add the slug to existing posts, we can just go in the console, do a post.find each save, and once it runs that save callback, it'll generate the slug automatically. And now we can reload in our app. And if you click on a post, check it out, you get the a better URL, way better URL. Instead of just saying like the number, it's actually showing the title of the blog post, which, whoa, that's pretty clean. If you're gonna share this anywhere, like your Twitter, your X account, yeah, it would show up a little bit cleaner. And also in SEO, like think about it, if some guy looks this up, how to create a Hotwire native app, your blog is probably gonna show up first. So that's what I was saying. Actually, personally, I want to create a blog too. I've been wanting to do it for a while. So I may even use this because I think this is coming out pretty clean. And if any of you guys want to have a blog app, feel free to copy this and to use it. So now we have the index page for the posts. We also have the show page where you can read your posts. The last thing to really do is add in the admin section, in my opinion. So you go to session new, sign in as an admin, which we do already have the admin user, and then we'd be able to go and create a blog post. So to handle that, let's go ahead and do this. So we already have the admin user. We set it up in the seeds, just like this. So we should be able to sign in. If I go to session/new, put in the email address and then the password, like this, and sign in, and boom, I think that did work. So now it'd be nice if we could see if we had some sort of indicator to show that we're signed in as an admin. So this is where it gets kind of tricky with the built-in authentication. If you guys don't remember, we're not using devise, we're using the built-in authentication with Rails. So the authentication generator, and they don't have a current user method. So it's actually going to be current.session.user, which I guess we can just use that. So if we went to the views and the posts index, we could just somewhere in here, probably outside of the div, add a secondary div. So yeah, I want to, maybe I'll just move this code into this div. And on this one, we'll have flex call, and then we can move our posts section into here. That should still work exactly the same, but now we can put content on top of the posts. So what I'll do is I'll check if current.session.user, and I'm also going to check if it's an admin. So this is, I think we're going to want to catch all of these errors, because if we don't have a user, it might say like, undefined method user for nil, and same with admin. We should be able to catch all these errors by using the safety operator in Rails. But if there is a admin signed in, we can just render something. So I'm going to go back to Flowbite, try to find a component that we can use. If they have something like a, what's it called, like a badge? I wonder if they have badges. Yeah, they do. So this is something from way back in like Bootstrap. I think Bootstrap was the first people to do badges. So just stuff like, basically just it could be something for like tags or something where they just have some text and a background and everything. So let's do, what do you think a good color for an admin is? Maybe indigo, of course, because it's the indigo channel. Drag in a badge, and it already says indigo. I'm just going to say admin. Boom. See anything. Interesting, I don't see it. Although we should totally be signed in, because I just signed in. Maybe we'll just check if there's the current user. Instead of checking admin and all that stuff, let's just check if current session.user. And yeah, like I said, it's where we get the undefined method user for nil. So apparently we don't have a user right now. Another thing we could just do is try to render out current session. Yeah, I don't see anything, so that's probably coming back as nil. You know what I want to do is I want to put a breakpoint in this post controller. Oh wait, you know what? I know exactly what's happening, because this happened to me before. So inside of the authentication concern, that method that we removed earlier, which was the require authentication method, it actually is doing some code to resume the session, which is going to set the current session every time that you render a new page. Either that, or it's going to request authentication. So actually, since we removed it, we're no longer setting the current session, and we actually have to do this manually. So I think, let's just do this in the application controller. Say before action, resume session, because that shouldn't cause an error. It's just pretty simple, setting the current session if we have one. Boom, yep, now we have this little badge showing up that's saying that we're an admin. So that's pretty cool. And what I'll do is I'll just have a div class here, and I'm gonna do flex mr auto, because I don't want that badge stretching like the full width. And we can also have some margin bottom 8. So boom, if you're an admin, you're totally gonna know you are admin. And then what I'll do is I'm gonna grab a button. So let's go to Flowbite buttons. I saw these earlier. I think these buttons look pretty clean. I like the ones with the gradients. I don't know, I'm just a gradient type of dude. Purple, blue. I mean, not all the time, but it can be fun. It's kind of like a ice cream popsicle or something. All right, so I'm gonna drag in our button, which this button is going to be probably linking to create blog post. If you're an admin on this main page, you're gonna get that button to create a blog post. And right off the bat, see the button comes out pretty clean. I like that. You can have a cursor pointer effect. For my badge, I want to add MB auto so it doesn't try to take up the full width. All right, that's pretty clean. And yeah, right now we don't really have an admin section, so that's the next thing I'm going to do. So if we go somewhere like admin, it would be cool to have an admin dashboard, but to keep it simple, we could even just have like an admin/posts where we have the ability to, or even to keep it super simple, we could just go to admin/post/new, have the option to create a new blog post. So I think that's what I'll do. So let's start off in the routes. If we go over to config routes.rb, I'm going to first define a namespace of admin, and then we're going to add a block. So we'll say do and end. And then we're going to have a resources posts, and then I'm only going to do the new action. And then for creating the blog posts, of course, we're going to have a create action. Now, let's go over to the controllers, and I'm going to set up this controller real quick so we can create a new folder. That's going to be for the namespace, which we called it admin. And then I'm going to create a file inside of it, which is going to be the post controller.rb. Now inside of here, I'm going to add a module. That's what we're going to use for the namespace. So we can say module admin. And then inside of this, we're going to have a class post controller, which is going to inherit from the application controller. Now this one, we definitely want to require authentication. So we can say before action, require authentication. And we can also say require admin, which is not a method that's defined right now, but we can define this. We can even define it right here inside of a private section. We'll have require admin, and we'll check if, say if not current.session.user.admin. We can redirect to the root path and just have alert, you are not authorized to view this page. I think that's a pretty clean way to do it. And now we are getting just an issue because the new action was not found. So let's define that new action. If new, because we're going to have a create action, we might as well do that as well. And inside the new, I'm going to set an instance variable. So say @post equals post.new, just as simple as that. And then what we'll do is, let's reload real quick. We're going to get another error. The admin post controller new is missing a template. So that's where we're going to add in the view. So let's go to the app views and create a new folder admin. And I'm going to create a new, actually another folder inside of here called posts. And then we're going to create that new template. So we can say new.html.erb. And boom, we have a new template now. It's like that. Now I want to look and see if there's a form component, which there is. Let's go to the forms and take a look. What I really wanted though, I wanted the rich text editor. Flowbite rich text. Wait, look. There is one, WYSIWYG. Yo, there is one, and it actually looks pretty clean. All right, so how do we use this WYSIWYG editor? It says we have to install a typography. What if I'm using Rails? Install TipTap, or skip this step if you're using CDN. Yeah, I'm using CDN. Wait, actually, yeah, I don't think we need this now that I think about it, because we're using CDN. I don't think we need this. We might just be able to copy this WYSIWYG editor. I'm gonna try to drag this in here. Reload, and I mean, I don't think it's working because I don't see the text fields. See, there's supposed to be this section for text, and that's not showing up. But the buttons are kind of working. Let's see, how could we get this to work? Skip this if you're using CDN. So it almost seems like we need this Flowbite typography. I'm gonna see if we can add that. So let's go to app. Says Tailwind application CSS. I'm gonna try to add in this plugin. It looks like not liking it. I would really like to use their WYSIWYG editor, but that might be tricky. Yeah, I don't know. We might have to come back to that. Yeah, honestly, we might not be able to use this for now, but that's fine. So let's just go back to the new page or remove this, and we can have our own sort of styling for now. So I'm gonna add a div with 7XL, MX Auto, so kind of like the same container class that we had before, which I guess at this point I could have just left that default container, but I don't care. I always like to do it myself. And then we're gonna have a form width. The model is going to be that app post, and then the URL is going to be admin post path. We can add the block by saying do and pass in the f as our block variable. And at this point, I guess we are gonna have some fields, so maybe I can copy some code from here so we don't have to redo the styling because that would be annoying. So just for something like this base input, why don't we try to copy that? Although I might just copy the styling. Yeah, I think that sounds right. So we can have div class. Like, actually, I don't even know. We might not need to have the flex call. If I was just to stick like the f.label for the title, and then we'll have the class, which is this class. Yeah, because we have the block class on it, we don't even need to have like a div. So technically, we might not even need to have a wrapper, although that might just be helpful for adding the margin between each field. But I think if we just copy the classes, that should be good. We have our label, then we're gonna have our text field for the title, say f.text field title, and then we'll set the class. And boom, we have this title field. And oh, it might be helpful to have a header on this page, just so you don't forget what page you're on. So we can have h1. I'll just say like create blog post. Say creating blog posts. I don't know. I can say new blog post. I'm gonna add margin on that. Margin bottom. Yeah, I think that's cool. Yeah. So then what I'll do is, I guess I'll just copy this honestly, and then this is gonna be the body. Instead of a text field, it's gonna be a rich text area. See? Boom. You know what, that doesn't look too bad. The default rich text. And we're styling it with Flowbite just like a little bit, I guess, and it is sort of applying. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. We could probably have a default height for this, so it's not so small at the start. So we can say like height 50 view height. Boom, now it gives us a lot of space to work with from the start. And yeah, I think there was some more fields in here. I saw something for an image field. Yeah, check that out. I like that. So the upload file image fields. So we can do is I'll just copy the title field again, and this is going to be for the banner image. And of course, it's going to be a file field. And then I might just copy this styling, although I think Honestly, might just be the same thing that we already have. It looks pretty good in that example. Go back. Oh, why did it come out so bad? That does not look like how it looks in the example. That's funny. I wonder if I just drag this stuff in here, what that would look like. It still looks the same. It doesn't look that good. Maybe I'll just copy the styling from this title and drop it in. Hope that it at least has some padding. Yeah, okay, that doesn't look too bad for banner image. And finally, we just need to add the submit button at the bottom. So I have another div here. And we can add in a button. So there is a bunch of components for buttons. Probably gonna go with a gradient button just because I like these buttons. Do the purple one. Purple button right here. I think we can actually just drag this in because we're gonna have a custom button. We don't have to do the form submit or the f.submit that we usually do. I'm just gonna add a type onto this button, so we could say type equals submit, and boom, we'll be able to submit the form with that. And I'm also gonna have a cursor pointer class. And of course, we don't want it to have that text purple to pink. Instead, I'll just say create post. And boom, I think that's pretty clean. So yeah, from here, you can actually try to create a blog post. Although I already know we haven't set up the create action, so I just want to test does submitting the form work. It looks like right now it does not work. It doesn't really do anything. Another thing is we could add padding on these smaller screens. Add padding to the left and right. So let's do px4. That's pretty clean. But like I said, submitting the form doesn't seem to work. Oh wait, it does work. Check it out. It actually is posting. See, I was confused why the field is like staying the same. But I guess it's just because nothing is happening on the form. Okay, so it is actually submitting. So now we just have to go over to the admin post controller and then set up the code for the create action. Let's say if post equals post.create and pass in the post params. So if we were able to create a post, we just redirect right to the post itself. We can have a notice like post was successfully created, although we haven't even added in the flash alerts yet in our app. Else we could just render new. So now we have to define post params real quick. We can have a method post params, and we're going to use the new except. So the params recently got refactored. So instead of doing the require permit sort of flow, you just say except and, or wait, not accept, expect. Expect. And inside of here, we pass in the structure directly. So we say like post, and then whatever fields you're permitting for this. So we're gonna have the title, the body, and the banner image, just like this. All right, I think this should actually work now. I'm gonna try to create a test post. Again, I'm gonna use ChatGPT. Let's see, I'm gonna tell it, make me a blog post. Why Ruby on Rails is the best framework to learn in 2025. Now the cool thing is we should be able to just copy this content straight from here and paste it into our field. And I think the WYSIWYG editor will already convert this into like the sections that are bold and everything, and it's already going to look pretty clean. So let's give this a try. We can put in the title, and then we'll copy the body once this is done. So we'll grab this, copy this content, drop it in, and oh, so it looks like for the field, I guess because I put a height on it, I didn't expect that to stop it from resizing. So I guess we have to go back to the text area, change it from height to actually just min height like that. Although for now it should be fine. And then for a banner image for this, maybe let's go to Unsplash and look up like a developer. Yeah, I think this is good. Grab any of these. Maybe this one. We'll grab that image, stick it as the banner image. Where is that? It's this one. And then we're going to create it. And if it works, it did work. It brought us to the blog post. So boom, we just have a new blog post. Yeah, this is pretty awesome. So real quick, I want to test as a guest user. If you're not an admin, if you're just a random user, I want to make sure there's no error. And yeah, look, there is an error actually on that current session user block. Let's go ahead and handle that real quick by going back to the views. And we'll go to the post index, and then we have to add in some safety operators here. Say current session, we have to add safety operator, and I also want to verify that it's admin. So we'll check if it's admin at the end, and boom. Now as a random user, you're not going to get an error coming to the blog page, so that's a good thing. Yeah, it's just coming along real nicely. Oh, so lastly, for this button to create blog post, we could make that actually go to the page, because right now it's not going to the page. So to do that, probably instead of using a button, we're just gonna have a link to. So I'll just copy whatever styling we had here, and I'll add it as a link to. So we can say link to admin. Actually, it's gonna be new at underscore admin underscore post path. For the text, add in create blog post. And I'm gonna set the class to the styling for the button. And boom, now when you click create blog post, it actually brings you to the page. But back to the rich text area, it looks like the min height didn't actually set the min height for whatever reason. So let's try to figure that out. If we go to admin new, we go to our min height. I don't know why that didn't work. Maybe I'll try to use style height 400 pixels. So that does set the height. Then are we able to resize past that? No, it doesn't actually work. I know I've done this before though. Min height to rich text. Else. Says we can do it in CSS. There's got to be an easier way to do this though. Saying that we have to use custom CSS, that's crazy. I guess it's not that bad. Yeah, I guess it's not too bad. We can just add this little bit of code to somewhere, I guess style sheets. Oh, look at this. There's already a bunch of action text code. Remember how I said that action text doesn't add the styling? Apparently it does. I think I said that in my last video. That's interesting. So I just want to look, is there already the form control? No. Height. Oh yeah, look, there's min height. The very top, the min height is 5 EM. I just want to change this to like 60 view height. Oh, hey, you know what? That's not bad. It might be a little bit too much. 40 view height. But I just wonder, can you resize past there? Oh yeah, you can. So that's actually good. So from here, we have a working blog app. This is pretty awesome. If we want to create some more posts, we could do that. Write me a blog post. Go tech tutorials. Best YouTuber, the best coding YouTuber. Probably doesn't even know who I am, but might as well create a cool blog post for myself. For the images, I don't even know. We could just do like some happy people. I hope you guys are happy watching my videos, honestly. These are you guys. These are my fans. Oh wait, I think we used this one before in the old video. But look at how happy these dudes are. They're just running. So happy, so friendly. So I'm gonna add that in. Let's grab in the content right here. Whoops. This is actually true. Honestly, whatever they're saying, it's so true. Doing a great job. Boom. Now check it out. We have all these blog posts, all this stuff. This is awesome. There's probably a couple things that we could do that we still could handle. Like, I know we could add a favicon. So see in the top left corner, like on the tab, it just does this red circle, which is kind of weird. That's the default in Rails for whatever reason. I don't know why they didn't just put like a Rails logo. But if we go to layouts application, it's right here. They have the icon set. So I'm actually going to get rid of this Apple Touch icon, or maybe that is helpful. Maybe we'll leave this. But we need a new favicon up in here. I also don't even know what this blog is going to be about. Maybe I'll just call it Indigo Blog. And for the top left, for the favicon, let's go to flat icon because they have a lot of free icons that we can use. I don't even know what I want to do. Maybe we'll do like a Ruby. Oh yeah, they totally have the Ruby logo, so I'll just use that. And the favicon is going to be 16 pixels. So let's download this 16 pixel icon. And then I'm going to drag this into our assets images folder. Well, actually, maybe we should stick it in the public folder because in the assets folder, it's going to create a dynamic route to the image. But in the public folder, it's just going to put it right in our main app, which is usually a better idea, I guess. So let me try to drag this in. Let's put it in the public folder for sure. Drag it over. We have the ruby.png. It does look a little bit blurry. We could just put this in for the SVG icon. Let's not even have one of those. This should work. Boom. Hey, we get the Ruby icon. Okay, it doesn't look bad. And then what I was thinking is when you're on the blog post, it might be cool to update the title with the title of the blog post. So to do that, we can look at how we're setting the title, and we're actually gonna do content for title or this default, which is Indigo blog. So if we wanted to pass in the content here, which is actually what they're expecting you to do, that's why they wrote it this way. If you want to update that title, you can use, I think it's yield. You can do yield in the page that, so like on the post show page, you just go to the very top, and I think we can just say yield. No, is it? See, now I'm kind of confused. Content for title. Let me look this up. How to use content for Rails. Content for head. Oh right, look. So I was kind of right. I just forgot how to do this. We say yields title do, and we'll pass in whatever content we want to put up there, I guess, which is just really just the post.title. I think I might have done this wrong. But yeah, we don't need to show it. So if you do the equal sign in embedded Ruby, it's actually going to just try to display this on the page. I don't want to display it. Just want to update the content. But yeah, for whatever reason, that didn't work. So I wonder if we could do a one-liner. Something like this. Nope, it doesn't like that either. Let's see if this works. Oh, it's like, nope. For whatever reason, that's causing an error. Oh, wait. If content for navbar, yield navbar. Right, I guess the thing that I was confused about is why are they using content for? I was expecting them to do yields. Like, check it out, see how they're yielding head? But for whatever reason, they're saying content for title or this. So maybe we pass in content for title, then put in whatever content we want to show, possibly. Oh yeah, look, it did work. So I guess you can use content for and yield interchangeably. That's what it almost seems like. Also, I wonder, can you just put like random stuff up in here? Can you put an image in there? I don't know. I think it's only text. But as you can see, the title is updating when we go to the different pages, which is kind of cool. Bet we could even update the favicon too if we wanted to. Although I think this is pretty good for now. All right, so now that we have that working, the other thing I wanted to add is sitemap. So sitemap is something that websites use. So if you go to public robots.txt, this is usually where you'd put your sitemap, and it's going to be a whole list of all of the routes in your app that you want the Google scrapers or any of the scrapers to know about when they're indexing your site. So if you want your blog post to show up when people are searching for the same thing, you're going to want to use a sitemap. So if someone's looking up like any of these blog posts and you want these to show up as a result, we want to use that gem. There actually is a gem for this. I'm going to look up Ruby on Rails sitemaps gem. And yeah, we have a sitemap generator gem right here. It's already pretty popular. It has a good amount of stars and it works. I've tried this before. So what we're going to do is we're going to right here, I guess we can use this, the Rails setup. So we just have to add our gem. I'm going to run bundle add sitemap underscore generator. And there's like a couple things. So I think they want you to ping a search engine, but I'm pretty sure that they don't. This doesn't even work anymore. I don't even think we need that. But right here, inside of that robots text file, we can add the URL to the sitemap index file, which would be what gets generated, which we haven't generated it yet, but we could still copy this over. So if you go to the public robots text, what they're going to be looking for is this sitemap, and then it's going to link to your URL. So whatever your website is, let's just say that my website is like indigo-blog, and then boom, this is the path to the sitemap file that we're going to create in a second. So let's keep going. looking for the actual code where it shows you how to do it. There's a good Dean in video on this though. That's probably better than how I'm doing it. But I think yeah, the instructions here aren't that clear on the README. Big. But I know this is super important though for getting your SEO right. Oh, right here. Here we go. Here we go. So we have the sitemap create sitemaps without pinging search engines, which is probably all we need to do, honestly. But I'm trying to figure out where do I put the code for creating the sitemap. Oh, here we go. We have the rake task. So first of all, we're going to do rake sitemap install, which is going to create our config sitemap file. That's why we have to run this real quick. And it created a config /sitemap.rb. And go to that config sitemap.rb, and boom. This is where we're going to put all of our content. So we're actually just going to do the same thing that they're doing here. Add all articles. That's basically what we're doing. So we want to loop over the posts. Then we're going to add post path. It's going to be post. And then last mod, we could just use the post updated at. Right. And this is actually all we need, because in our app, we only really have this like post path. We might also add the link to just the main page, although that's just the root path, so we don't even need that either. All we want is just to include all of our blog posts so that those get scanned by the Google scrapers. And then what we're going to do is we're going to run this refresh, which will generate our sitemap file. Do rake sitemap refresh, and boom, it actually set this up. Although it looks like the URL is wrong, because at the top we're setting it to example.com, so you want to set this to whatever your domain is. And it did create the sitemap XML, so I'm actually just going to delete this and then rerun it with our new URL. Boom. Now it's set up our sitemap generator. And look, it says sitemap's ping is deprecated. That's where I saw it, so I don't even think the pinging is important. But as you can see, we do have this sitemap file set up correctly. So when you push your app, the Google scrapers are going to be able to find out where all of the blog posts are, and yeah, like it'll help your SEO. All right, so that's cool. One thing that I just thought about was, well, there's actually a couple things. So actually, the thing about this is, obviously, once we post this app to production, when you create new posts, we would definitely want to update that sitemap. So you might even want to have a cron task. That's what they're talking about in the GitHub repo. They're saying like you might want to refresh it in a cron task. So we could probably do something like that. So I feel like I've done a lot on this so far. The last thing I kind of want to do is maybe add in an edit page, an admin edit page. Because right now we can create new blog posts, but for editing an existing post, we don't really have an option. But it is super easy to add that, since we already have like the new page and the form and everything. It should be super easy to add an edit path. So let's go to config rest.rb first, and inside the namespace admins and the resources posts, let's add an edit and an update. You know what, let's do destroy as well, just so that we can remove a blog post if we don't want it anymore. And then we're going to go over to the app views, posts, show page. And here, let's just go up to the top, and we're going to have that admin section. So we could even go back to the post index, copy this admin section from here, drag it in, and instead of create blog posts, I'm going to say edit blog posts, and this is going to go to admin post path, and then we'll just pass in the at post. So boom, that's already set up. We can edit the blog post. Now when we do that, it looks like we get a no route matches this. Interesting. Oh, right, because that's trying to go to the show page. So actually, we need to have an edit path on here. So edit admin post path. If we click on it, it actually goes to the edit page, but we get an error. The action edit could not be found. So we have to add that action to the controller. So you can go to app controllers, admin post controller, and then we're going to add an edit action. So for editing, it's basically going to be similar to the new, except for it's actually more similar to the show page because we're going to pull up the post. So we can say at post equals post.find and params ID. We probably want to do friendly find because for whatever reason it's passing in the slug. We might as well do friendly find. And we're also going to run this for our, we're going to have like the update action and the destroy action. We're going to run this for each one, so we might as well stick this in a before action. We can say before action set post, and we're going to do this only on the edit, update, and destroy actions. And then we can go down in private and add this set post method, which is going to set the post with via the friendly finds. So now edit, this is totally done. So back, now we're going to need a view for this though. So if we reload, it's going to say we're missing a view for edit. So we can go over to the views, admin posts, and we'll create a new file, and we'll call it edit.html.erb. And it's going to basically have the same code as the new page. So right off the bat, we're probably going to want to take this form and move it into a partial. Let's render this as a partial form, and then we can pass in the post as at post. And then inside the admin post, we'll create this underscore form.html.erb partial. And then instead of using the instance variable, we're going to use a local variable. So we're going to remove that @ sign. Then for the URL, this is kind of tricky. We might just want to pass in the URL dynamic. So on the new page, we're passing URL as admin post path. So it's going to go to that create action. But then on the edit page, we'll do a different path. Then also for the text, see how it says create post? I want to actually change this based on if the post is already created, if you're editing it or not. So I think we can check if post.persisted. So if it's persisted, it means it's already been saved. So we can just say edit. Else, we'll say create. Boom. Let me just still verify this works. Going back to create blog posts. All right, yeah, that does work because it says create post. Now I'm going to try to go and edit a blog post. And we don't have any content here, so what I'll do is I'll go to the new page. I'm just going to copy this content, which now it's super slimmed down because we moved the form into a partial. And we can just drop in the same exact code. And I'll just change the title from new to edit. We're still passing in the instance variable, and then the URL is going to go to admin post path. We can pass in the instance variable there. And just like that, we have an edit page. That's where I was saying it's super easy to add an edit. Basically just copying the stuff from the new page. And if we wanted to tweak like a little bit of things, like maybe get rid of this on the title. And I guess instead of saying edit, we should say update. So back on that form, say update right here for the button. And then we just have to add in the code for update, which again is going to be super similar to create. So I'm just going to copy this code. Instead of saying create, we'll say update, and same right here. And boom, we now have this all taken care of. So if I want to update this title, click update post. Oh, what the heck? So I guess the redirect, I don't even know what happened there. Oh, because we're redefining posts, that's why. What is going on? Yeah, okay. I'm also trying to use a class so that it's not actually exactly the same. We need to do update on the post variable. That was my bad. Let's see. I'm gonna try to change that text. Click update and boom, that worked that time. All right, that's pretty cool. So we now have the edit ability. We could also probably add a cancel. So if we don't want to actually update it, we just want to go back to the blog post, you can have a cancel button. Although, let's see, probably do that on the form. So we can have on this div, we can say flex gap4, and then I'll just check if the post is persisted. We can have a button. We go back to Flowbite components. Let's look for the buttons. I'm just gonna have a little cancel button. So probably not gonna do a gradient for that. I'll just do maybe the dark or the light one. For some reason they look exactly the same. So let me grab the dark one. Drag this in. And I don't think we're gonna use a button, we're gonna use a link to. I'll just copy the classes. We could say link to cancel. And when you cancel, I'm just gonna bring it back to the post page. And because we're checking if it's persisted, it's only gonna really apply on the edit page. And we can have the class right here. Just gonna add the styling. And boom, just like that, we have a cancel link, which totally works. All right, I'm pretty happy with this. So the last thing was just adding in the ability to delete the post. So we could even do this from the post show page. We could add in, a delete button. I actually want to go back to the Flowbite components for buttons. And we can just add in a little red button now. Maybe I'll do the rounded one too. Let's see, red rounded button. And this is going to be on the show page up in the admin section. We can add in our button. And again, I don't think that this is going to be a button. It's actually going to be a link to. Link to, it's going to say delete post. This is going to go to admin post path. We pass in the post variable and then set the class for the button. We are going to have to do a couple other things. We're going to have to set the data turbo method to make a delete request. We can also use turbo confirm to verify that they actually wanted to delete the post. So we can say, are you sure? This will be permanent. This will permanently this post. Boom, we now have a delete post button. If we click on it, it would actually make that request. It is making it, but we just don't have the code inside of the controller. But if you look in the terminal, it is making a delete request to the right path. And we can go finally add in that code, the destroy action. So all we'll do is we'll check. We don't even probably need to have a condition, but we can just say post.destroy. And after we do that, we'll redirect to the root path. And we'll do notice post was successfully deleted. So boom. I don't know if I want to delete that one, but we can delete. Wait, hold up. What? I think that was probably back when we had like the post.update code here. I think we accidentally updated all the posts because look, each post is the same exact thing. So this is actually a good time to have that delete option because I'm probably going to just delete all these old posts that got messed up because I accidentally had the wrong code there for a second. but the cool thing is that those first 3 posts were all added via the seed data, so we could easily grab those back by just running Rails DB seed. And boom, we have those 3 posts back. Now I want to verify that there's no bug in the code anymore. So let's edit one of these, update it, and make sure that doesn't update the rest of them. Okay, it doesn't. I think that was just a glitch earlier because I was like updating all the posts in the update action on accident. But boom, I think this is pretty good. This is actually really good for a blog app. I could totally release this. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I don't even know how long it's been. I've just been kind of talking. Okay, it's only like an hour. That's not bad. So last thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this on GitHub and release it via open source. So if any of you guys want to use it, you can now download this and have your own blog app. Blog app built with Rails 6, Rails authentication generator, and Flowbite. Boom. I create this repo, add all of our code. Push it up. Just like that. I think we're good on the video and the blog app. Catch you guys in another one.